Today we're going to make a modern tiki drink, the Oaxacan Dead. For this drink, you're going to need a tiki mug or a double old-fashioned glass, a jigger, a fancy straw, a cocktail shaker, a citrus juicer, a fine mesh strainer, a cutting board and a small knife, a Lewis bag and an ice mallet, and optionally, a swizzle stick. This drink uses smoky mezcal, Falernum, Apricot Liqueur, freshly squeezed lime juice, Peychaud bitters, orange bitters, and mint for garnish. This is a modern exotic drink. To some it may not qualify as tiki. It doesn't have rum in it, but rum isn't necessarily a requirement for tiki drinks. Trader Vic had several exotic drinks that didn't have rum, like the Eastern Sour, the London Sour, and El Diablo. And while this drink isn't part of the classic tiki canon, it is a sour that combines several exotic flavors to great effect. Besides, the drink was inspired by a tiki classic. The Oaxacan Dead was created in the summer of 2013 by Ethan Armstrong, a bartender at Deep Ellum in Boston. The drink was reverse engineered from the name. Oaxaca is a state in Mexico known for making mezcal. So Armstrong jokingly suggested to a friend who was obsessed with The Walking Dead that there should be a drink called the Oaxacan Dead. Still thinking about the pun an hour later, it dawned on him that the drink should be a kind of mezcal zombie. And since the bar was trying to put together a series of tiki drinks for their menu, he got to work developing the drink. Unfortunately, there isn't just a single recipe for the zombie. The recipe I liked the best was the 1934 Down the Beachcomber original. But for over 70 years, no one really knew what that recipe was, because Don, the drink's creator, was so secretive about it. So his competitors had to make up their own versions. And not ones with just minor changes in the types of rum or ingredient ratios, but totally different drinks. Armstrong stumbled across a version of the zombie from 1941 that used apricot liqueur, and he built off of that. He played around with that concept and showed it to Frederick Yarm, a friend and fellow bartender behind the blog Cocktail Virgin. Yarm posted about it on his site, and that was about it for that drink. Due to some logistical problems, the Tiki series at Deep Ellum fell apart, and the drink never got on the menu. However, the following spring, the bar wanted to try again with the Tiki series, and one of Armstrong's coworkers suggested that they include this drink. The name was too great to pass up, but the recipe got overhauled. The 2.0 version was based on Don's original 1934 zombie. That one made it on the summer menu, and is still on the regular menu today. Now they make it in gallon-sized batches and serve it in pint glasses. This 2.0 version is a daunting recipe to make at home, but it's really good. So you have to be sure to grab one if you find yourself at Deep Ellum. And much like its inspirational predecessor, this drink had a lot of other recipes pop up with the same name. The main difference being that this one was not as world famous as the zombie was in its heyday. So it happened more as a zeitgeist. San Diego, Santa Barbara, and Oakland saw the name pop up on various menus. And all of them were variations on the idea of a mezcal zombie. And even though they all seem like good recipes, I really love Armstrong's 1.0 recipe, particularly when making it at home. It has simple ratios, relatively few bottles, and readily available ingredients. And most importantly, it's a crowd pleaser. For the mezcal, you're going to want to use something with a good, smoky body to it. The non-smoky mezcals aren't what you're looking for in this one. The Falernum in this drink is a homemade version that Beach Bum Berry recommends at length in his books. Feel free to use your favorite version of Falernum, but keep in mind that whichever one you choose, it's going to make a difference in the flavor profile of the final cocktail. Like most tiki drinks, I like presenting this one in a mug. If you don't have a mug, just serve it in a double old-fashioned glass filled with crushed ice, and garnished with an obscene amount of mint. I'm serving this one in a Cthulhu mug. Cthulhu is the titular character of H.P. Lovecraft's story, The Call of Cthulhu. The Cthulhu mythos has a lot of unintentional connections to the tiki world. Cthulhu's resting place is an unmapped sunken island in the South Pacific, and a sect of his earthly cult followers lurk in the shadows among the swamps and streets of New Orleans, the birthplace of the founder of Tiki, Don Beach. Not to mention that those same followers carry and worship a stone carving of the Ancient One. In other words, a tiki. In the story, Cthulhu is not exactly a zombie, because he's not exactly dead, but his almost voodoo-like cult anxiously awaits his resurrection. Besides, the mug comes from Horror and Clay, a Georgia-based tiki mug maker that specializes in making horror-themed mugs. And Georgia is the setting for much of The Walking Dead. The skeletal hand bursting forth from the hedgerow of mint looks like a zombie reaching out of the grave. This metal swizzle stick called the Spook comes from Van Tiki, another tiki ceramicist who specializes in making limited collectible tiki mugs. Together they make a frightening tableau. This exotic drink has an impressive array of flavors. It starts with the mint on the nose, then the earthy agave and citrus, followed by the clove, ginger, and fruitiness of the liqueurs, and finishing with a hint of smoke. It's such an easy sipper that it may turn you into the Oaxacan Dead. Before I get started, I like to cut, squeeze, strain, and bottle my lime juice. That way it's easy to pour when it comes time to measure. Next, beat up some ice. Add ice cubes to the Lewis bag and roll it up. If you don't have a Lewis bag, you can use a bar towel. Just fold it up so the ice can't escape. With the Lewis bag rolled, crush it like Negan at batting practice. Then prep your mug. Whack the rim with the mint sprig to release some oils and give it that great aroma. Then fill your tiki mug with crushed ice and set it aside. Next, measure 1.5 ounces of Mezcal. Add that to the shaker. Measure 1/2 ounce of Apricot Liqueur. Add that to the shaker. Measure 1/2 ounce of Falernum. Add that to the shaker. Measure 1/2 ounce of lime juice. Add that to the shaker. Hit it with 2 dashes of Peychaud and 2 dashes of orange bitters. Add ice and give it a good shake to chill it down and give it some dilution. Strain the contents of your shaker over the crushed ice in your mug. Then work in your swizzle stick, your mint sprig, and your fancy straw. And there it is, the forgotten drink called back from the grave, the Oaxacan Dead. A Colema Luna. Click here for more videos. Be sure to subscribe and check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For links, more info, and the printed recipe, check out the description below.